Hello, my name is Dean Contover. Welcome to the Current Buzz. This is a new season for us. This is the 283rd show that we're doing. Today we have Daniel Hart, or Dan Hart, and he's the Chelmsford High School Athletic Director. We're going to talk about what our athletic director does at Chelmsford High School. I know he doesn't have a 9-to-5 job. He's there sometimes late in the evening. So he's going to tell us specifically what an athletic director. Not to mention that you have Lori Martin. She's the assistant athletic director, right?
Lori's with us last spring.
Okay.
Currently, she's not with us. We have Angela Hughes as our athletic secretary.
Oh, okay.
Right
I'm
now.
sorry.
No, that's all right.
That's what I read on the site. That's why.
Yep. No, absolutely. Lori was great, though.
Corey, okay. Great. I'm glad I got to mention her name.
Yep.
All right. Let's do this. You are an athletic director. What does an athletic director do in regards to my audience watching? What do you guys do at Chelmsford High School?
Yeah, so
what do you do?
So I'll say one thing about that position is that it's different at every single high school you go to because of the roles you're in. But I'd say a typical day for us, get in the morning, make sure everything's kind of squared away. You do your transportation, your regular schedules, your practice schedules. You meet with coaches, you go over rules and stuff with them. Wants and needs, check parents' emails, check in with kids daily, make sure that we check health records and all sorts of stuff. We do officials, we have to schedule the officials, make sure they're there. We process payroll through our department. And then we supervise games, supervise coaches, supervise players, take meetings with both. There's a lot of fun things we get to do, like set up for events like our football game the other night. I mean, we had, I'd say, over 1,500 people there. It was bigger than a Thanksgiving Day crowd that we've had lately, with a lot of kids.
It was a nice night, though.
It was beautiful. Yeah. And just with cooperation with the Booster Club, they had an event before that. Up until about half an hour before game time, we were up in the press box learning how to use the new sound system. There's a lot that goes into
just before the game.
Just before. Everything tends to work that way. Everything gets held off to the last minute, unfortunately. But
Chelmsford Telemedia does the games, so you can watch it on Chelmsford Telemedia. Do they do the away games too?
Normally, yes. I think this year there's some complications with that, but I know they're going to work on it.
It all depends on the community, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Right. You said in regards to payroll, so you pay the referees, the town pays the referees?
Yep. It's all budgeted in the athletic department.
Okay.
So we look at every game. We budget the referees. They sign. We take it. We send it over to the department, and they pay them.
Okay. Is it whose responsibility? Is it the principals, Mr. Murphy? Or is it your responsibility to hire the coaches in JV and varsity? Or
when we have a coach, or someone leave or whatever that, we post a job just like anything else. We put together a committee of people of either coaches or staff members, the principals, deans.
Any parents?
No, we don't normally tend to put parents on. Just with my past experience, I've seen issues in other schools and where they put parents and kids on hiring committees. If someone doesn't get hired that the community would like, people tend to take it out on the parents or take it out on the kids, and then vice versa. If they think someone likes them too much, and I think it's a tough spot to put them in. I mean, we definitely take input from everybody, but we're the final decision on people.
I see. So how big is the committee? 5 people?
It all depends on what the job is.
Okay.
There's sometimes
like head coach. I mean, you
Yep.
have a new head coach. Well, he's not new. He's there 3 years. Is that it?
Yep.
And you're athletic director 4 years, right?
5. This is
5.
Yeah, you're 5.
The 5th year. Okay.
Yep.
So what happens? Give me the rundown how that happens. I mean, because that's the premier sport in any high school.
I'll go over our football one, for example.
Okay.
When our football job posted, we had that come up. We had a lot of applicants. We narrowed that down, myself, the deans, other people. I look outside and find out information from football coaches because, look, I was a basketball guy. Like, that's my background. And I don't pretend to know everything about every individual sport. I look to other people for that.
Yeah.
But I know coaching. And so I look for little aspects that I like in that way. And then for those football-related questions, I'll go outside to other people that we may have. We narrow things down. We put together a couple committees. One was like an interview committee that was very formal as far as like the deans, the trainer, myself, another person. Then I took another room of existing coaches. And so they went from us to that room so they could just have a conversation.
Existing coaches of soccer and
no, the head coaches. We had head coaches in other programs.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So that way the coach could go in there and ask questions to coaches about certain things, and the coaches could give their perspective of that as well and get a feel. And then that coach, whoever that may be, would come out of that and say, oh, I've got 8 people that I know now that I can bounce things off of. And then we, mesh together and we come up with, what we liked, who we thought would be good in this role, and then we come to a conclusion. And ultimately, that's myself and the principal.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Who would let a coach go? Would it be the principal or you?
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't had too much of that. Our positions are year-to-year positions anyways.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they sign a contract, is that it?
Well, essentially like a work, an employee agreement each year. But they're year-to-year positions, and then some people may not get renewed based on they won't be able to do the job the way they wanted it. They either, couldn't handle the commitment anymore or the time schedule or anything like that. But if that's done, if, someone would be non-renewed, something like that would be happen, towards the end of, into the next season. So it wouldn't be like that day of. It would be, a little bit later.
Of course, let's say a football coach, you want to see if he has a winning season in regards to the school that he's at or presently. Is that my understanding of it? Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you can't, it's tough to judge like a winning season, right? Like what we're most concerned about first is the structure. Like, you could walk into a program and not do anything anywhere and have 12 amazing kids and win games, right? Right. Or you could have, the vice versa. You could, be this great coach but not have kids that are ready yet. But you got to still coach those kids. And eventually when you do those little things, it's going to be, all the things you teach can be a little byproduct. So we want someone who can teach the kids, coach the kids, make players better, not only on the field, but in the community, all right, in the school community. And I think that's one thing that we really look for right away. Do you look at academics first in regards, not the coaches, but for students? I mean, that's the priority, right?
Well, I mean, we're an academic institution that offers athletics and not vice versa.
Okay,
right?
good point. I like that.
So we have a very, our school is, very ranked high academics. We put a lot of priority on it. And I think for athletics in general, and I know we were talking before about scholarships in general, but the amount of kids that play NCAA sports, I want to say in total, I think it was like 6%. And then scholarships, full scholarships are even less. It's the majority are in football and basketball in college, and the rest are like normally partials. Division III doesn't have scholarships. So we preach to our kids we want our kids to be great athletes and have fun that way, but get their academics up. Because if your academics are up and you get accepted into school and you can get into that school, that's what those Division IIIs, Division II, that's what they really look for, that, you could come here, right? And then you could get a spot on a team. Yeah. So we preach academics that one.
How's the hockey team doing?
Great. Last year was a tough year with all of the restrictions and whatnot. Yeah. But our kids it was a fun group of kids. They had a blast. They made the most of it. I give them a lot of credit. But they got to finish the season and play in the Songus in they called it an NBC Cup game against Andover. Oh, wow. And the kids played great, and it was a good wrap-up. And I know the kids afterwards, talking to a bunch of them, they were happy with how it ended. We obviously, I felt all the kids, they deserve more than what, happened last year because of all the circumstances, but they really made the most of it. And I thought they did a really great job. They're fun to watch.
Chelmsford has a hockey arena.
Yep.
In case some people who
in
live in Chelmsford. Yeah, that's a going joke. Yeah. We have a hockey arena in Chelmsford, and if you want to learn how to skate, you can go there in the wintertime, and you can learn how to skate there. They do have times for that. But we're talking about hockey, high school hockey, and high school hockey, they practice there. Yep. And we're lucky to have an arena like
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
I remember when the University of Lowell used to play there at one time. I used to go to the games and watch them before they got the Songus.
Yeah, they've done some really nice stuff over there. I know, Mr. Fletcher, who was the athletic director for a long time, his son, Jason Fletcher, who coached here and coached the girls program, passed away, unfortunately, young. And a bunch of his friends and, some parents in the program and alumni and the hockey coach, they dedicated the locker room to him and went in there and really did some amazing stuff in there. And the kids have this amazing locker room. The other side is all redone as well. They share the weight part with the girls program. So they've added it to kind of make it like a top-notch resource for
There's a lot of parking there, so if you want to
there is, absolutely.
Make sure you get a lot of parking space.
Yeah.
Watch the games there. how did rugby become a sport at Chelmsford High School?
Yeah, so
explain that, step by step, because you only had it for 2 years now, going to third?
This would have been our third. This past year would have been our third year, so we're actually going to go into it 4 years.
Okay.
Our kids, came to me. A lot of the times, my door's open, and I've been working in the schools now in Chelmsford for like 17 years, I believe, which is crazy. And so I know a lot of the kids and have conversations with them. And I know, Dr. Parks at one point, who is, coached at, Harvard and Bentley and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
He had always talked about rugby to me, and the kids had asked about it. So I said, hey, why don't we put together like a learn to play? And Dr. Parks talked about it, ran it. And it was the end of the year when, finals are done and, everybody's done. So normally you can't get anybody here for anything. It was like 90 degrees, and the kids are up on the plateau, they call it, the race field, doing a little clinic. And they did it like 2 days. And the first day, there was a good number. And the second day, there was more kids. And I'm like, oh, something right is going on here. We got to do this. So the kids said,
word of mouth?
Yeah, I think they had a blast, and I think, to have, good coaches that were fun with the kids, to have kids that wanted to learn it.
And most people knew Dr. Parks from, he's the principal of the Parker Middle School. So.
Yep. And it's an MIA sport. So with it being an MIA sport, only though I think there's maybe about 20 teams or 18, the kids came to me and I said, well, if they want to try it, let's put something together. And we went to school committee and it got approved, which was great. They saw the kids wanted an opportunity. 4 young men came and spoke to school committee, and they were outstanding. And I think that's kind of what we're about, right? We take the kids want to try to do something, they put together a plan, and they were ready for them to say, hey, maybe not this year, but they looked at the kids and said, hey, there's something in place. We have a plan. We can make it happen. Let's do it. And it's been outstanding. The kids have a blast. The sense of like togetherness, the atmosphere in a rugby game and the sportsmanship is something I wish everyone would see. These kids, it's physical.
I've been to the games
right?
at Chelmsford High School. I've watched them.
And at the end of the game, they all take a picture together. One team prepares like a meal for the bus ride home for the other person.
Oh, no kidding.
It's this great sense of like community, and it really has helped a lot of our kids. And some of our kids, we have a bunch of our kids are playing rugby in college right now, which is amazing because we just started.
Do they get scholarships? Or?
There's no scholarships, but they may go to a school for, academic, and you can get financial aid based on the activities that you may do.
Good point.
Yeah, so we have kids at St. Anselm's, Mass Maritime, Bryant, Merrimack, all playing, which is pretty cool,
Yeah. I think it's really cool that you can. Hopefully someday you can get a fencing team going on it.
Right, they make it an MIA sport. Let's roll.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I think there's like 9 schools that have fencing. I looked into this. The only public school is Concord, Carlisle, which is understandable.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw out there that I want to ask you, how did COVID-19 affect you in sports last year? And the kids very important. How did it affect them? Yeah,
so it affects them, and I will say like the last, since this started in March has been a year ago March. It's been pretty trying. You don't get into a position like I'm an athletic director. I coached. I worked in the schools. My goal is to kind of work with kids, and then we took kids out of the equation. And for me, that's no fun. For them, that's no fun. The other part that's no fun is I by no means, I don't enjoy being, and I don't want to say like COVID police, but my email box is filled with people saying we're doing too little or doing too much. We work in a public school. We're just trying to get the kids to play. Like by no means do I want our kids not to. I don't want our kids to be held out. I hate that. I try to give our kids more opportunities and build community things, and that hasn't really been there. We spent 4 or 5 years trying to bring every program together and bring our kids together.
Right.
And then in the last year and a half, it was, we got to stay apart, which I understand that aspect of it. But I think it has its, pros and cons. The cons being we have kids, not with their peers, not doing the stuff they used to do. The pros is that, we're trying to keep them safe based on what we know and just trying to do our best, right? But there have been challenges with, sometimes some of the games getting canceled. Like we've had cases and games have been canceled. There's been some positives from it of things that we have seen or things we like better. Games being streamed is great. It's by, it's a very distant second place to people being there in person. Things like locker rooms, that's how you build camaraderie. Like a lot of times you don't remember what happened in the game against somebody on a random Tuesday night, but you remember being with your team in a locker room or at a team dinner or stuff like that. And that's not lost on us. And we're not looking to, take any of those things away. That was MIA rules last year as well. And there's rules from the state that we have to follow. We don't always like them. But my goal is to, one, be honest with people and not just tell them what they want to hear, but tell them kind of the truth of it. And my goal is to get these kids to play games. And when we don't play, it stinks.
What's the procedure now? Are they going to wear masks this season? Or?
Indoors, anything inside, you have to wear a mask, which is why I have mine on right now. I can't tell the kids to, do it and then not do it myself.
Okay.
But everything inside is in masks. Everything outside is not. You do not have to wear masks.
But wasn't there a time where kids outside had to wear masks too?
Yeah, up until like the end of last May.
Okay.
And I was glad that they had them, take them off. I mean, I think for us, we had some new coaches last year. Even for myself, I don't know what some of the kids look like.
Yeah, I mean, what about the yearbook? I mean, all the pictures of people with kids with masks. I mean, 10 years from now, you know how it is. 20 years from now, you look at your yearbook. Who is that? I mean, I don't,
Yeah, it stinks,
Yeah.
It stinks. And the thing
I like that word, it stinks.
Yeah, no one wants to be in that situation.
Yeah.
But we got to do what we can based on the rules we're given to get the kids to play, so.
You mentioned the MMIA, right?
Yep.
It's a private institution, nonprofit. Explain the MMIA for people who might have moved into Chelmsford and have children in the system.
Yep.
They rule. They are the rules.
They're the governing
sport.
body of sport in Massachusetts.
Right.
So they have essentially like a board of directors, which is made up of, they have some of their own employees, but then made up of principals, athletic directors, superintendents.
Are you a member?
Well, I'm a member, but I'm not on the board of directors.
Okay. Just
by any means. Yeah. But they do dictate rules in sport, penalties in sport, game procedures. So like last year when we had to follow procedures, so for example, last year, they gave you a list of, things that could happen in, locker rooms. One of the things, you could not use locker rooms. If you played locker rooms, you wouldn't be able to, play the contest. So that's one of the things. They would tell us they made modifications to the games last year. I wasn't a fan of some of the modifications they made. Because I think it, not only took away, but like in soccer, for example, you couldn't head the ball or you couldn't do a throw in. And,
Oh, yeah, because you breathe in a lot of air because of throw in, exhale. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, with that stuff, like I said, I'm not a doctor and I don't know that stuff. I just think it was tough. But the kids adapted and they did their best. But they're the ones who make up a lot of those, rules that we have to follow. And what I think some people don't understand is that, we can do what we want at our school as far as what a game looks like, what our procedures for making teams, but we have to follow their rules of sport because if we don't, our teams wouldn't be allowed to play in the tournament and that would be all of us.
Yeah.
So we don't want to penalize everybody to not follow their rules. So we might not agree with them sometimes, but we do have to follow them.
I was going to lead into the situation in regards to football. They changed the rules about 4 or 5 years ago in regards to where you have playoffs. So in other words, the last 3 games before the Thanksgiving game, you don't even know who you're playing.
Correct.
And you told me earlier that it's changed.
Changed the
so
game.
explain the
Yeah,
change.
so a few years ago they changed it to a 7-game regular season. You start the playoffs in week 8.
Right.
And now it's an 8-game regular season. They start the playoffs after that with less teams. But everything in general this year, so the way that they used to be is you have your regular season, then a sectional tournament, then the winners of the sectional tournament play in the state tournament, which is only 4 teams. It's the winners of all the sections.
Yeah.
Now it's a statewide tournament.
Wow.
So everybody in a division, if they're a Division I team, and I forget if they are, but say we could play Westfield in the first round. They could come here and go there.
Wow.
Which is a hike, but other states laugh at us when we talk about driving, an hour and a half and it's a hike, right? But
but they don't have to deal with the traffic.
You're
I
right.
mean, when you have a game on Fridays and you're going to the South Shore from, let's say, Chelmsford, you have to deal with 2-hour traffic.
Absolutely.
Sometimes.
Absolutely. But I think the one thing that will be cool, we'll see how it works out. The one thing I do like about it is I look at some sports and the NBC bumps up against each other in the sectionals and we have, 4 teams in the semifinals, they get knocked out. I would think, of those 4 teams, we could have the best 4 teams, but one of them gets knocked out and they get into the state tournament and it's, other 3 teams might get an easier path. Now everyone would have to go through the NBC or through everybody, which is,
you're in the Merrimack Valley League.
Yep.
Division I or Division II?
Different in all sports for the most part, depending on the layout, because they
see.
split the teams now based on the number of teams in each sport. So for football, we're Division II. But for like
Weren't we
basketball,
Division I at one time?
we were 1A.
Oh,
So it was like
1A.
1A.
Yeah, 1A, okay.
But and that's based on like population. So our school
Right.
population has gone down.
I see.
I think it's going to go back up, and we'll see where we
Well,
go.
because during the Depression of 2008, 2009, there weren't that many children being born, so it kind of dipped, and it's going to probably go up. But that's interesting in regards to the football team and what division you are, because that matters.
It does.
It does matter because, you know, if you're Division 1A, you're playing a lot of top schools in Massachusetts. You have a small bus now the last couple of years, I think, right?
Yep.
And what's that help you with? I mean, in regards to the small
Everything.
bus?
So this year especially, you see the news of the bus driver shortage.
Yeah.
So normally, you know, we put out our bus schedules, we get them back, and we have anywhere of like 5 buses picking up after school. Right now, we're getting calls in the middle of the day saying, hey, we don't have a bus for you, which is crazy because now every day we're coming in having to rearrange a schedule, which is not as easy as you think because that's officials, coaches, all that stuff.
Did you see where the National Guard's going to be
I
driving
did,
the school
yeah, I saw
buses?
that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know, hopefully that can get us to sporting events,
Yeah.
but that small bus allows us to eliminate one of those other buses.
How many passengers in that small bus?
14 passengers, one
Oh,
driver.
that's not bad. So you got a tennis team, golf
It's like
team.
golf takes it today. Golf takes it to all their meets.
Oh, that's not bad at all. And the coach drives it?
The coach can drive it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So there's no problem with that. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get another one.
Oh, good.
Which would be great, and then we're looking to possibly like high, because now we'll be able to take teams up to, if they have up to 28 kids.
Oh,
so we
okay.
probably need like someone else to drive a bus or to bring people around. We're doing every day. We're trying to get more creative in this transportation thing so that kids can get there. We've called every bus company, every whatever to get
No
this going.
kidding, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's.
I
tough.
mean, it's that way all over
Yep.
the world. I met this guy when I was in Europe. He was had a truck company in England, and he couldn't get drivers. And he had to go back to England because there was a shortage. It's just one of those things. I just want to say, I'm glad that you came in and talked to us. Anything you want to say? Oh, by the way, you have beautiful signs there at the football stadium, Simonian Field. If you haven't been to the football game, go to a football game. It's cheap, and you'll see these new signs saying, welcome to Chelmsford High School.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, the
PR.
We have a Booster Club president, Jamie Campo, who is a worker, and that Booster Club is fantastic. And we had the idea last year. We wanted to take in, fencing gets old. You replace a fence, it's very expensive.
Right.
You can dress up a fence. So we had the idea of putting up windscreens. Jamie says, hey, what do you want up there? We got the big one up top. I think it's the Chelmsford Lions, the Chelmsford Athletics.
Yeah, in regards to the booth you're talking about.
So that one, it dresses up the place right away.
Yeah.
Then we went underneath. Then Jamie had the great idea when you walk in.
I think that's a
saw
great
that,
idea,
and it looks awesome. And there's going to be
Yeah.
some touch-ups. I know we have memorials on the wall, and I know the past athletic director, Mr. Fletcher, is talking about an idea to kind of spruce that up and maybe put it in a more visible place for those people. But we're always trying to kind of improve what we have. And to go on what you said, if you can go to a football game or any game. Football is a little different, like on a Friday, because nobody else is playing on the Friday,
Right.
so it's a community event.
Yeah.
But we get good turnouts for a lot of our games. I think Friday was the best example, is that you came for a football game, but you got to see our band. You got to see our 2 a cappella groups play. They sang the national anthem before, and were
wow.
outstanding. You got to see our athletes. You got to see all of our kids in the stands, the family in the stands, our younger kids there watching it.
And it was on Chelmsford Telemedia.
It was on Chelmsford Telemedia, and those guys, Bruce and Howie and Rob and Dave Markham, they just do such a great job. And the girls, Elizabeth, they're so good, and it's.
This is
fun.
my suggestion. On the gym it says Chelmsford High School. Have that repainted.
On what part? On the.
On the outside,
on the outside?
facing the football field.
Yeah.
It has to be lit or something.
Yeah, I got to see it, right?
Yeah, go down there and something. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, no.
Today. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It was a quick half hour, and I'm sure that people will see it and they'll be happy to know what's going on in Chelmsford High School and what